all of a sudden she's talking about the pages she wants built, and Dimitri's like, oh, what do you want these by? It's like, next week. He's like, what? He's like, weren't we having a strategy meeting next week? She's like, no, I want to launch it next week. He's like, you can't have a strategy meeting about the pages we're building next week and launch it next week. And then I type, I'm like, are we still talking about the escape velocity? I thought she said 6 months. And he's like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm so confused.
God, Joe is going to have such a fucking awesome time.
I actually almost feel bad for him. You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah, fear.
Yeah.
You know, and panic. Because you know he's been there before, right?
Yeah.
It sucks.
He's like, I'm so close to this that I don't need to get into this part of it. Or he just demands more money so that he can hire someone to be their full-time person.
What they need is a fucking person in-house. That way they don't worry about our availability or anything else. The person has one fucking job and that's it.
Yeah.
That way you can get it done quicker. I mean, that's just it.
Yeah, absolutely.
One viewer. Can you join the thing? Boom.
How do where's that? Whoa, that's like Inception.
Oh man, that's so late. Oh shit, that's really late. Actually click on it so that you can speak. I have another link in that.
Definitely take away.
Yeah, how in the world do I? You click to plus invite. Yeah, I got it. It's the link inside of there. It took me a little bit.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was like, oh, they don't hear me talk. Okay, cool. You'll send it like now?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Todd, yeah. All right, so let's see if this worked. Hey, Mimi, how's it going? All right, I see Marvin is here as well.
Yes, it's working at my side.
Perfect. All right.
Hello.
Jeff is here. Jonathan.
I'm not talking to myself anymore.
No, I sent the wrong link. I know.
I was like, why is he not answering me?
Well, I could see it. There were like 5 viewers, but right, I was talking and I was like, all right, and then Mike is right next to me, so I asked him about the link,
Yeah.
and of
I
course
heard
he's watching me, and he watched the whole thing go down and didn't give me any advice.
Hey guys,
I'm blaming this all on Dima.
on me,
Yeah, you watched the whole thing go down.
I was confused as to what you sent us. We're good now.
All right. Well, can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. We'll just start it up because I did promise that this would be 30 minutes because I know it's late for you guys. So I planned it out to be 30 minutes. So we're gonna start 3 minutes late and we'll see how far we get. Okay. So the big thing here is we have 2 things to cover. One of them is Visual Website Optimizer, and the second one is Landing Page Inspiration Guide. So Jeff, to be honest, you can tune out the first part of it, but the rest of us have to pay attention here. So Visual Website Optimizer, what it is a majority of you have used it, or if you haven't yet, it is a website optimization tool for split testing. Now basically what it lets you do is it lets you install a script on any page, and it will let you basically give you a user interface to be able to split test anything that we need. Now there's several different types of split tests, and first I'll go through we have an SOP for Visual Website Optimizer. So this is kind of our standard operating procedure on how to install it and how to configure it. Now basically to follow the steps here, 1, clearly you log into Visual Website Optimizer. So I've already logged in here. So 2 is you can view the dashboard. So here is the first step, is the dashboard. Now this is an account that's already been set up, so you'll see that there's tests already running in here, and I'll explain those in a second. Basically, to create a new test, you just click Create Test, and actually before you even create the test, you're going to want to install the, it's a step after this, but you're going to want to install the tracking code. Now what the tracking code does is it's just a script that goes on the page, and inside of WordPress, you just have to put it in the header of all the WordPress templates, or there's a plugin for Visual Website Optimizer where it just asks you to pop in this code here. So basically with Visual Website Optimizer, you just have to grab this code under Tools, Get Tracking Code, and this is kind of how it's installed on the site. All the rest of everything else gets taken care of on the Visual Website Optimizer side. This is the only step that actually has to be installed on the pages. So inside of here, we can create a test. There are different types of tests inside of Visual Website Optimizer. So there's A/B test, which is clearly you're going to test 2 different items on a page. So an A/B test typically means that you're going to test a headline, you're going to test switch out images, switch out buttons, switch out something so that you'll see which one converts better. Multivariate test, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dimitri, but I believe that lets you test several items.
Yeah, you can test multiple items at a time there. We haven't actually played with that yet so far.
Right. The reason that we probably haven't played with it is because the multivariate test kind of isn't great for split testing because you're testing too many items.
Really, it's just complicated. So it's something that, and all of this, guys, would be definitely useful at some point. Maybe even this week, or at some point as part of your 2-week learning items. So after this meeting, really dig into each of these and get familiar with how to set proper goals in them. But yeah, multivariate tests we probably won't do for a little while, but definitely also something to get familiar with for the future.
Yes, and so split URL test. Split URL test just means that you have 2 different URLs that you're testing. So it lets you put in one URL and then another URL, and it basically it sends 50% of the traffic to one, 50% of traffic to the other, and see which one converts correctly. Targeting, not really sure what the targeting test is. Dimitri, are you sure?
Nope.
Yeah, I've never used it, and again, we can dig into it. This is more or less a broad overview of what this is.
Yeah, the two biggest split tests that we'll use are A/B tests and split URL tests. And sometimes we'll do some of the others, but between those two, the biggest thing to learn there is, you know, firstly how to set the test up, and then second uh, how to set up proper conversion tracking goals. So sometimes it's really simple where we want to test, okay, how many people are clicking on a button when the button's orange versus when the button is red. And that's an easy tracking to set up. Versus sometimes the tracking is more complicated, and that's where we really need you guys as developers to really get familiar with it. And when I say it's more complicated, it means, you know, let's say we send people to this page versus this page, or we send people to one page and there's two different elements on an A/B test being tested there. We want to be able to tell, let's say if somebody went to one version of the page, whether them going there turn into a purchase order, or whether them going in there turn into a new customer. And there's a more complicated way of tracking that because it would mean that, sorry, whoever just came on, just do a quick mute. There we go. So yeah, the more complicated tests or the more complicated ones will mean that you have to set up a conversion tracking or ability to test that further down the line. And you'll have to figure out exactly how to do that in Visual Website Optimizer, which I think James might cover today. And if he doesn't, then we'll have you guys dig into it in the software.
Hey, Wendell, can you mute yourself? Also, Joe.
Yeah, I can mute him.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we go.
There we go. Can you? Oh, there we go. Joe kept muting me. there we go. All right. So, I mean, that's a basic overview of what it does. Now, digging a little bit deeper, I'll show you kind of how it works. So we'll just create an A/B test quick. Now, what the A/B test is, and I'll just use just a random URL here, and I'll just use vision.com. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure that this domain will work, but let's see. I do like their little notes. Okay, so basically what it is when we do the A/B testing, it pulls up the page. So it pulls in the page. Now we can edit pretty much every part of this. So here are the variations. So we can have a control, and then we can have a variation 1. So variation 1 we can change. Let's say we want to change this to change a different image. Actually, I'll just change a text on one of these. Let's, another image. Let's change a text on this to be prices. So now basically on that we go to next. We really can change anything we want on here. It's actually a pretty cool tool. It lets you change whatever we need to do. For buttons, clearly we just change out the image of the button or the text of the button, and then we go to next step. So now goal 1 is pretty much the primary goal. So this is how it knows what the conversion is. So for any landing page, typically what the goal is going to be is either if they click on the button, or if they visit a page, if they visit the page after where that button is clicked. So if the button is clicked, if it's supposed to be an order, the goal will be on the thank you page after they purchase. If the goal is a opt-in form, the goal will be if they load the thank you page after the opt-in form. Clearly, if there aren't those items, you just have to find something that would be a goal that basically has a significance after the person does what you need them to do. So there's several options here. So they click on a link. So clearly you can click on, you'll just pick whatever link on the page works. If they visit a page, you just put the URL of the page that they visit after. If they submit a form to, now this is a cool one, especially with Infusionsoft, is that it submits a form to a URL. You just have to grab that action URL and it'll do that. Engages on the page. So this means if they type into a text box or something else, triggers custom conversion at URL. Basically, that you will never use that. Generates revenue at URL. Again, that's more PayPal oriented. and then clicks on an element. So if they click on any sort of element inside of there, so image, if they click on whatever it is, basically an added goal. Now there's only one primary goal that affects the metric, which is called the conversion rate. So the primary one affects the conversion rate. The rest of them you have to dig deeper in to see which goals were tracked. So we can clearly create several goals in here, but only one of them does the conversion tracking. So if we want to see who visits the next page as well as who clicks on what button, we can make those different goals, but you'd have to dig in a little deeper to get that done. Again, we're just going through a broad overview right now, so for right now you won't have to do that, but it can be done. So basically once this is all done, you just click next. Now let me put it in. We click next, you name the test, you can put any notes in here, they're just going to show up on the dashboard. And this kind of lets you know, running the test on the URLs, this kind of just lets you know where everything is at. Percentage traffic to include in tests, 100% of the traffic, you're always going to want 100% of the traffic. And then target test to segment, all visitors, you can change this target segment to be location, to be day of the week, to be just mobile devices, to be you can assign a certain JavaScript variable to them. You can assign IP addresses, search keywords from Google or any of the SEO types, referring URLs, so only from, let's say, Facebook or whatever you want, query parameters, operating system, user agents, so Mozilla, Chrome, you can send them different places, and then basically set it up however you'd like. So I'm going to create the test. I'm going to cancel this because we want to do all visitors. Now, it'll check to see if the code is installed. So definitely make sure that this is good to go. And this just needs to be installed on the site. Then it'll let you preview these. So make sure that you can see the previews and they're correct. And again, this one isn't showing because I don't have the code installed. But if you click on it, it'll show you what your variation will be. And just make sure that everything looks correct to you and double check it as well. And then also there's the plugins and integrations. So this is the WordPress plugin that it has for you. So basically that's pretty much it on how to set it up. Once it's set up inside a dashboard, you just have to basically check to see if it's working the way that you want. So for, let's see, when it's working, is this one says 525 total visitors. You'll notice that there is a conversion here, and after, I would say after about 4 or 5 hours, there should be a conversion. If there isn't a conversion, you probably set it up incorrectly. And then again, there's conversion rate in here, and this is kind of how you keep track of it. You can also dig deeper into it by clicking on it. So this kind of shows you everything inside of there. You can see heat maps. So for a lot of our clients, they're going to want to see kind of the heat map that was.
Yeah, to see where people are clicking on a page.
Yep, as well as where they're kind of at.
Hi, it's Farhan. And I'll make this.
So you'll notice people are clicking all over the place, and it's really weird that they're clicking on some things. So it's pretty cool to be able to see that. Basically, we can see how many clicks they had and where they were clicked on. So I will exit out of that. We can also preview the variations, so if something is incorrect, we'll be able to see it from in here. You can also select browsers, so to make sure that it works on all the browsers, you can just select Chrome, Internet Explorer, iPhone, all these inside of here, and make sure that they work on those. Again, once you dig a little deeper into this, this is just a broad overview of what it does and kind of where everything is at. But you can, there's a ton of other options inside of here that we definitely encourage you to screw around with. And then clearly there's the detailed report, which is what we'd be giving to the client, is kind of this portion of it. So anyway, that is a broad overview of Visual Website Optimizer. Here is the Visual Website Optimizer SOP, and basically it has a 1 through whatever of how to set it up. So this is a 100% of what I went through today is in here and in a step format in which if you follow all the steps, you'll be able to create one correctly. So the next thing that we had to talk about is the landing page. So Dimitri, do you want to go over the landing page or do you want me to?
I'll go over it.
Okay.
So first question, did everybody see my post in Basecamp under internal projects, and then I also posted in Skype? And then based on that, did you get a chance to read through it? So just say yes or no in the group chat here.
And basically what it was
Awesome.
was that there's a video. The video is very powerful, as well as this. The examples of great landing pages. This is a huge, awesome kind of thing to go through it, where basically it gives you a broad overview of great landing pages, as well as it kind of tears down, 20 or 30 different landing pages, says what's good about it, says what's bad about it, what they'd improve, and kind of the reason why everything is useful in there.
Yeah, and definitely, it's definitely a good set of examples in there. Unbounce, is a great company that actually is a tool for building landing pages. Obviously, we don't use them. We use the custom pages or optimized press or lead pages. So in many cases, our internet marketing ones might be a little bit different from theirs, but definitely still good to pull inspiration from. And then here, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Forget I'm not doing that.
Yep.
One sec.
On the left, there's a little.
Yeah, I'm clicking it. It's just not doing anything.
Turn off your camera.
Oh, try that. Nothing to click on. Hold on, let me try expanding the Hangout to its own window. I didn't seem to turn off my camera. There we go. Well, for whatever reason, I can't seem to share my screen.
Okay. For time
Okay,
purposes.
so I'll just why don't you just keep the document open, and then I'll kind of run through this real quick. And then biggest thing is that I want you guys to do is, especially if you've already watched the Jane video, really start logging into Optimize Press under that account.
And here, I'll show you where it is. So Optimize.
Yeah, so James, if you could log into Optimize Hub and just poke around with the landing page designs. So here's the biggest thing here is that we've been, some of you build these landing pages, and honestly, unless we put them through a designer, sometimes they come out looking decent, sometimes they come out looking good, sometimes they come out looking like total crap. And there's really no reason for them to ever come out anything less than decent for a first round. So if you're in doubt, use one of the optimized press templates and then plug copy into that, and then really do it in a way that you feel like the client would be really, really happy with the result that you're providing. So look at all of the details of a landing page. Take a look at what not only just like what colors are being used, but look at the button. If the whole page is flat design, but there's a gradient on the button, that probably looks a little bit weird. Or look at the typography. If there's a headline that goes all the way across, then like 2 words jump to the bottom on a regular browser, that's probably going to look weird. So don't do that. If the fonts for the headline and subheadline really clash, don't let that page go out. So really, really try to do a really good job on all the details of the landing page, but don't feel like it's this massive amount of effort, because we have these amazing templates that you could just, if you don't go through a full design phase, you could just plug in one of these templates, keep the exact typography, keep the exact layout, and just just adjust things as necessary based on the specific client. And more often than not, this will literally take 1 to 2 hours to build an entire landing page. So instead of going through multiple sequences and revisions and all of that, I'm not even a developer, and I've personally sat down and built these great looking squeeze pages just by plugging stuff in. So if I can do that, you guys with development and design skills, and you're a lot faster, more skilled than I am at all the technology, could definitely do this just as fast and come out with really great landing pages. So it's not a matter of skill set. It's more like just making the right decisions along the way, and oftentimes what template you pick will make the biggest difference in the ultimate result that you create here. Does everybody have has everybody had the opportunity to log into this Optimize Hub account and really check out the templates? I'm going to take that as a okay. For most people, it's probably no, because I only set it up a couple of days ago. So just make sure that you're using James's account when you log in, and then just go in there, and only one person can be logged in at a time, so it'll kick you out if somebody else logs in. But really just go in there and just explore all of these, because this will also get you familiar with the internet marketing world and modern internet marketing design. So Jeff, you might even want to take a look at some of these, even though you do really great design. Some of these can give you some inspiration for your upcoming designs, and then you can do a whole much better creative spin on what's already being done here. But the bottom line is that we're going to do a lot of landing pages for our clients. Like, there's going to be a bunch of these a week that come out, and we really need everybody within the company that's building websites to be really familiar with this process. Because if we can have non-techie, non-developer like me build these things, then you guys should be 3 to 5 times better than I am, and at putting these together. So definitely, definitely work on that. And then also, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the thing. Usually, actually, I have it in here as point number 4. But try to, on landing pages, try to put as much valuable content above the fold as you can. So obviously, headline, subheadline. And more often than not, the call to action should almost always be above the fold. And if it's not, ask yourself, how can this be rearranged a little bit so that it falls above the fold? So instead of just cranking these out, really ask yourself, hey, if not only will a client like it in terms of design, but hey, if we put this out to the marketplace and people start driving advertising to it, what will the customers that are of those clients think, and will they actually opt in, or will they actually buy? So definitely really important. And then testing. Make sure that you always test whatever you put out there. So obviously test from a visual standpoint to make sure it looks good, but really test page load times. That's important. Test to make sure that the opt-in works properly, right? And then it redirects to the thank you page. Right? We can't launch a page if the opt-in is not working. Test responsiveness. So this is big, especially if you customize elements on a page and you use some of the custom HTML boxes. Then really make sure that you test responsiveness. Test it on all browsers. If you do some custom CSS, also test that on all browsers. Unfortunately, people still use Internet Explorer somewhere in the world. I don't know why, but there's 9% of them that do. So we have to make sure that our landing pages are compatible with the latest versions of all major browsers. So really important to really do your best on the actual page. Use the templates. Look at all the details, and then when you launch it, make sure that it's something that we can present to a client without giving a bunch of feedback, because that takes an extra day for something that could be done in hours.
And make sure it works with mobile, 100% with mobile, as well as make sure that it flows correctly with mobile, so that things aren't in weird places. It's hard to see the call to action. It's hard to see the opt-in form. Just make sure that everything makes sense.
Yeah. Right, and more often than not, if you use optimized press columns and less, I know sometimes custom HTML in there and custom CSS is necessary, but oftentimes if you use a lot of their standard features, responsiveness is automatically put in the best possible order for that landing page, because optimized press was built for marketers. So if you use the tools more, you almost have to think less strategically about it. But if you are doing some custom coding there, yeah, definitely make sure that it's all in the right order. So you don't have 3 images stacking on top of each other and then 3 paragraphs stacking on top of each other below that, and then the opt-in form, because it's just not gonna perform well. Any questions on this so far?
One of the big things that I found most helpful from a programming standpoint is reading this unbounce link, and so just going through this is very informative. I mean, especially I'm not very good with design, but they did have a conversion design rules, and the conversion design rules were very easy to read and very informative on kind of things that you can do using directional cues, using kind of color schemes and stuff like that, because in all of these optimized press themes, you can change the color scheme for them. So clearly, if the client has a color scheme that they use, we just emulate that color scheme with different backgrounds and different stuff that they have. So you know, the color scheme is going to be big, but this design for conversion was very cool to read.
And is that James? That's not the same article link, right? That's one of my other ones.
So it's in the other article. So under the landing page designs, the drool over, it's under, but what is it that makes a landing page design effective? It's under conversion design rules.
Okay,
So
cool. If you just drop that link in.
Let me add that link to the.
Yeah, guys, and really just, I mean, study what Unbounce does, study what Mindvalley does, study what, you know, digital telepathy does. Look at all the people that are designing this stuff in the industry that are doing a really good job. And, you know, initially, if we can't be creative, let's copy them and then add our own spin of creativity to it. And then eventually we get more and more innovative and creative based on those fundamental skills. So we really want to be that company that's, you know, at the top of the industry doing this for our clients. So it's really important to get good at this stuff, even if you're not a designer, to get familiar with, you know, why certain things are done from a marketing perspective or a designer aesthetic perspective.
Okay, so that was kind of a broad overview. I told you it would take 30 minutes. It did take 30 minutes, so make sure that everybody goes through those, the landing page inspiration guide, and especially the visual website optimizer, because we will be using the visual website optimizer with most of these landing pages, actually. That's why they tie together so well. So just make sure that you're kind of going through both of them, and I mean, experience is huge. So the more you do it, the easier it kind of gets, and clearly with Dimitri and I, you know, we've been doing this for several years now. So it's, you know, for us, it's a lot easier, we think, than it is. So just make sure you get some experience under your belt and kind of just keep moving forward in the right direction, and I'm sure everything will be great. Oh, also another big thing is metadata. So for each landing page, make in OP or in Optimized Press, clearly there's an option for the Facebook metadata. But clearly when we're not building on Optimized Press 2, we need to make sure that we have that Facebook metadata in there. Everybody shares their landing pages on Facebook, so we just need to make sure that that metadata is in there so that we can control what the look of the Facebook post looks like. So in regards to the title, subtitle, so just use this the headline and the subheadline for title and description. And then the image, just find one that doesn't look weird. And you can also test it at let's see here.
Yeah, if you drop the link into the Google Doc, that'd be awesome to test it.
Facebook testing.
And in HTML, there's a specific, just specific code that you use for metadata that's different from the SEO metadata. So just keep that in mind, and then you just, if you don't know what that is, you just Google it. It's pretty easy.
Yep. And let's see.
But if you guys, make sure you watch that Jing and get really familiar with, with these guidelines. And then if you have any comments, I mean, you guys will be building these. If you have any comments or ideas, just, add to the document, comment on it with, Google Comments, or comment on the Basecamp thread that I put together there. Then, we definitely want to keep evolving this and love any input that you guys have in the process.
You can use this tool to test, as well as this will let you reset it in Facebook. So let's say Facebook does caching, so it'll cache the image. So if you use this debugger tool, it'll let you reset it.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
So yeah, it lets you reset the cache so you don't have to be screwing around with it a bunch. So let's see. Yeah, this lets me know what the OG URL is, what all the description is, what the image is for this, what the title is, and this is the share preview. So for this one, we definitely want an image that would actually work in here. So we'd need an image that is, 200 by 200 with Vision Tech Team on the inside of there. So based on this one, we'd need to replace this OG image with a new one.
Yeah.
So then you'd see it, and every time you click debug, it refreshes it, so it refreshes the cache inside of Facebook. So, all right, guys, we will keep moving forward. And actually, Jeff, can you make a Vision Tech Team thing on that note? Can you make a Vision Tech Team 200 by 200 for Facebook? Just type yes on the thing.
I think we might have one for a profile picture that we can probably use. But if not, we'll need one.
Okay. Anyway, we'll do that at a later date. So, yep, that's it. All right, guys. We're starting our day. You guys are pretty much ending or starting your day, so we will chat with you guys later.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you guys showing up. Love getting together like this, and think we always get a lot done. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.